Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We're here today with our Mindset and Motivation Monday, my favorite way to start the week with you. Appreciate you tuning into the Cabral Concept. And we've got a great show for you hopefully today. These are three specific principles. These are three well-defined areas in anyone's life that if they're hoping to grow in a particular area and get better, whether it's their relationships, body transformation, health transformation, spirituality, their career, their finances, whatever it might be, they need to understand that there are three specific phases that they have to go through. These are growth phases that we all do, literally in any area of our life. So if you're looking to accomplish something new, it's most likely something maybe that you're passionate about, but also that you don't know a lot about. Because I'll tell you the truth is that if most of us knew the exact path that we wanted in order to transform our health or our body or our relationships or our finances or whatever it might be, right? Whatever it might be, then we would probably do it. But one of the reasons that we don't is that we fear the unknown. We worry that we may actually fail at going after our dreams. Or we worry that maybe we do achieve them, right? That's the fear of success, but we don't know how to handle that success. We don't know what life will look like when our dream has been accomplished. And those two things hold back the majority of people. But what if you knew what you had to go through in order to achieve the end results? I think if you knew that, I think if you already knew the phases that you need to pass through, then you realize that it doesn't happen overnight. And if it doesn't happen overnight, then you have time to decide, is this the right phase? Is this the right area of life that I want to be improving? And if the answer is no, that's okay. Then you can stop during the process. But in my opinion, I have not seen anyone all of a sudden achieve what it is that they've wanted without going through the phases and then realizing like, wow, okay, I see where I am. I understand the challenge ahead. I'm up for the challenge. And when they achieve it, right, when they hit that end goal, they then begin to understand that there's a system to this, that there's an actual blueprint to success. And if you follow the blueprint, you can then duplicate those results in any area of your life. So this is why I share with people all the time that tell me something you have achieved in your life. We talk about this in IHP Mastery all the time. It's like, you've done something in your life that you should or probably are proud of. Like you did well in school. Okay, you did well in school and you got good grades but you feel like, okay, no big deal. You have to understand is like, well, you got good grades by most likely being there and showing up for class. Or usually studying the material. Okay. And then you created a specific way in which you studied. You took notes and then you outlined it and then you might have highlighted it or you made flashcards or whatever it is that you did, right? Like that you had a system. But either way, no matter what, you achieved it. And the system for that doesn't necessarily matter. But if you achieved it there and you put in the discipline and the time there, that skill can be transferred anywhere else. We just don't look at it the same way. You might say like, well, doing well in school has nothing to do with relationships. Well, I'd say like, hold on, because there might be something to it. No, it's more inanimate when you're doing school-based work, right? You're working on something maybe more two-dimensional. There isn't a lot of interaction, except that there is the interaction of the grade that you receive for the time, effort, or knowledge base in that particular area. With relationships, you will still need to put in the forethought of what am I going to do in order to have a better relationship? What needs to be done? Then you actually need to implement that work. But This is all part of the process. And this is really starting, though, with what the first phase is called. And I want to share with all of this with you here today. So if you want the show notes, the 3 big takeaways, to make this a little bit even more clear cut, head on over to stevencabral.com/2579. I'm going to put them in the 3 takeaways because it's not always readily apparent the first time you hear something as to what you need to do. But I'll tell you this, the first step is always this. It's understanding that if you have not achieved your goal, you are in a place of, and it doesn't sound nice. So again, I want to let's be gentle with ourselves. It's incompetence in that area, right? So when I was trying to get well at 17 years old, 18 years old, 19 years old, all the way up to 27 years old, I was coming from a place of incompetence. Now, again, I'm not trying to be hard on myself or insult myself. I didn't know how to get well. I had Addison's disease, I had type 2 diabetes, I had rheumatoid arthritis, I had awful allergies, insomnia, etc. I didn't know how to get well. That means I'm incompetent. I was incompetent with getting well. Now I was trying. So again, I give myself credit for trying. I would see different practitioners. I would purchase different supplements. I would purchase different labs. I would get well sometimes, and then I would relapse, but I wouldn't know why I relapsed, right? That's incompetence, but not in a bad way. We always think of, oh, that person's incompetent. Yes, they're not able to do what they need to do. They lack a skill, but I bet that person could learn this skill, right? If they were dedicated enough, they could learn the skill. So the first step is just this. It's actually what I always preach about, and that's self-awareness. So conscious incompetence is the first phase of growth. You might say, well, what is conscious incompetence? How is that possibly related to growth? Well, for the very first time, you are now self-aware. You're self-aware of the incompetence. And again, you might say to yourself, well, I already know I'm incompetent because I haven't been able to figure it out before. Maybe, okay, maybe, but not all of us are. Most of us are not willing to put aside the ego to actually say, I might need some help here. I've been going to the gym now for 3 years and I haven't really transformed my body, and that was my goal. Or I've been working on my health now for a couple of years and I still have the autoimmune issue or the digestive issue or the skin issues or whatever it might be. Again, you can just put in your own one. I've been trying to find the right person relationship-wise for years now and haven't been able to do it. I keep finding the same person over and over and over. Okay, well, you're starting to think now, okay, there is some level now of incompetence. And if you don't like the word incompetence, I get it. It's just part of the 3 phases, which has always been talked about. And you could just use it's unaware. So now you're becoming aware of your inability to be able to achieve your results. And usually all it means is, again, it's not that you're not trying, it's that the input, the blueprint or the formula that you're following right now is just not whole. It's not holistic. That's the thing about Eastern-based philosophy or integrative health, is that it's holistic. It looks at the whole body, right? Well, when it comes to then achieving an outcome, let's say weight loss or weight gain, you need to look at exactly the entire plan you're following. Are you following just a calories in, calories out? Are you following just a workout? Are you following just a diet? Or are you actually looking at hormones, metabolism, resting metabolic rate, et cetera, right? Because then that starts to build a much larger area. But if you don't even know what to look for, that's okay again, but that's called incompetence, right? So now though, the very first phase is conscious incompetence. For the very first time, you say, okay, I get it. What do I need to do? And the first act of saying, what do I need to do, already opens you up to that next level. So your goal now is to say, who are the people out there that are able to help me improve my relationship or my career or my body or my health or my spirituality? Listen to those people. Most likely, they have a free podcast. Most likely, they have a lot of free videos. They're going to give you places to start. You might be listening to a couple different people. But then from there, you're going to decide, okay, I'm going to purchase one of their courses or their book, or I'm going to hire them for coaching, whatever it might be. And that's how I'm going to overcome my incompetence. Okay, why that's important is that is how everybody figures it out the fastest way humanly possible. So I wasn't getting well. I'd seen a few different practitioners, all very well-meaning, but they weren't integrative. I saw someone and they just did blood type. I saw someone and they just did acupuncture. I saw someone and they just did chiropractic adjustments. I saw someone and they just did nutrition or just exercise. All of those things on their own can be fine. But if someone's really sick, you need a true integrated practice. So then I reached out, right? So like I read a mentor's book. I then emailed her. I then took a bus to Maine, 3 hours away, 4 hours away. Yeah, at least that, 4 hours away. And then I sat down, spoke with her, and over the next couple hours, realized that there are levels to this health game. She opened my eyes. I was less incompetent for hiring her as my coach, as my doctor, as my health practitioner, right? My integrative health practitioner. So that's what I did. And so you might not be able to hire a coach, but you still have a book, you still have an online course. There's something that you're going to be able to follow that's going to make you less incompetent. But the first phase is just being aware, right? That you're not able to figure it out on your own. And that's okay. Honestly, you're not supposed to be an expert in everything, all right? Now, the next phase we move to is phase 2. And it's an unconscious competence. And this is really important, or I should say it's a conscious competence. Okay, so when you reach conscious competence, what I want you to think about is this, is that you now know what you need to do. So you have learned a formula, a set of principles from a coach, doctor, practitioner, book, course, whatever it might be, and that you begin to implement that formula. Remember, it's typically not yours, because if you were able to achieve the ideal spirituality or relationship or body transformation on your own, you would have. So what you're doing right now is you're following someone else's proven formula, which most likely they learned or iterated on someone else's. This has been from the dawn of time. This is the success formula. It really is. Don't try to figure it out all on your own. That's one of the biggest tips I can give you. So now that, I'll take myself, for example, start to follow Dr. Pete's plan, okay? What did she have me do? She had me started to use certain methyl donors, magnesium. I started to remove certain food sensitivities. I am great to a far greater degree, improved my gut. I worked on my sleep. Like, I had learned these things before, but not in the same way. It was never presented to me in a holistic fashion. I never knew why I was supposed to do these things. She gave me the why. The why enabled me for the follow through. Okay, go to bed within an hour or so of the same time every night. Why? Like, no one ever told me why, right? Here's why. And it began to then look at the overall circadian rhythm of the body. So now I began to follow the plan. I began to be able to create what's now called competence. And I was conscious of that. So first I was conscious of my incompetence, what I didn't know. Now I'm conscious of my competence. I'm actually following the formula and I am getting results. The person who goes to the gym and is now seeing results, but they hadn't seen results for 3 years before that, maybe it's because they hired the personal trainer or they're taking the online course or whatever it might be, following a system which has been proven to work for other individuals, and now they are getting results and they are just sticking with that plan. All right, those are the first 2 phases. Incompetence to then competence, and you are conscious of it. The next one actually moves back to unconscious competence. That means without you having to think about it on a daily basis or on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, you are going through the acts of competence. That means you don't even need to think about it anymore. The easiest example that I could think of to share with most people is this. Most people do not need to think about going to bed every night to get sleep. Most people don't need to think about anymore waking up in the morning and brushing their teeth. These are things that you do on a daily basis. Okay, well, the act of sleeping helps to rejuvenate the body, right? Like, your body's like, oh, I'm tired, I should go to bed. Well, yeah, you should go to bed, right? You start to do that. You start to do that typically at a normal time every single night. For some people, it might be 9, others 10, 11, so on and so forth. But that's when you start to go to bed. When you wake up, you typically don't need to say, oh, well, my teeth and my oral hygiene routine really require me to brush my teeth. Like, no, you wake up and you're going to brush your teeth, right? That is unconscious competence. You don't need to think about the why anymore. It is now a part of your life. There are other things as well. For me, especially as I was beginning to heal, I couldn't radically shift my bedtime to whatever time of the night it would be. So if I got, asked, be like, hey, we're going to this concert at, it starts at 10. It's going to get out at 1 in the morning or whatever it might be. I don't know. And I would just be like, no, I'm sorry, I can't. And I didn't have to give a why as to, that's going to throw off my sleep routine at that time. But again, my number one priority was healing my body. And for me now, it's like, I don't have to think about waking up in the morning and doing my morning smoothie. And I know exactly what goes in it. Okay, I've got my fruit there, my frozen berries, I've got my DNS powder, I've got my daily fruit, I've got all the different things that I need, right? It's just that now is unconscious competence. Why does that matter? This is really important because now it doesn't take any more bandwidth. You don't need to think about it anymore. In the beginning, effort requires energy. Your mind requires tremendous energy to do all of this thinking about what needs to get done. You need to schedule it. This has to happen. That has to happen. No, eventually it's unconscious. It's just part of your day. You couldn't imagine not brushing your teeth, hopefully, right? For me, I couldn't imagine not waking up and hydrating my body. That's just something that I don't even fathom. It was just what I do. It's how I start my day. So what I want to share with you is this. Why this is important is because this is how you achieve mastery in any particular area. You first become self-aware that you just don't know what you don't know and you need help. Then you get help, whatever it might be. Books, online courses, or one-on-one. Then after that, you implement a formula. Now, during the formulaic phase, where you're actually going about taking the actions, you learn what works and what doesn't work for you, because it's not always going to be perfect, right? It's not all rainbows and unicorns and you get results the very first time. No, even with Dr. Pete, it wasn't a straight line to the finish. There were some zigzags, but I contacted her and I'd say, hey, I'm experiencing this. Why? And she's like, oh, okay. Yeah, your magnesium dose now is too high. It's actually more than your body needs. We're going to now reduce it by a capsule. Just simple things like that, right? But I didn't know. I could have just thought this plan isn't working anymore. I'm just going to stop all my supplements and I'm going to go back to what I was doing before. No, I reached out. I said, listen, I'm still in a phase of incompetence, but I'm learning to become more competent. And I didn't use those exact words. But then she said, oh, well, eventually your body's able to adapt more on its own. It gets stronger. It builds up its reserves. I'm like, oh, well, okay, that makes sense. And so what I want to share with you is this, though. It's the final piece. When you have now automated that phase of your life and you've achieved the goal, the great thing is this. You know the formula. And now you get to move on to the next thing because you're never going to let go, hopefully, what you just achieved. So if you achieve the ideal body, you know what it takes for you, right? You know what it takes to get there. If you achieve the ideal health, you know what it takes to get there and what it takes to maintain, to be honest with you. So now you might say, good, now I'm going to actually look for that, perfect partner, that perfect relationship I'd always been looking for, right? And so now you're able to then take the same thing. What would it be? Okay, well, again, you might say, I've never been in a great relationship. What do I do? You just did it. You recognized that you're missing something. You're missing a certain faculty, a certain knowledge base that doesn't let you take things to that next level. So what do? You may read some books, may take an online course, may hire a dating coach, whatever it might be. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to follow this person's formula. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go on some dates. They're going to work. They're not going to work. I'm going to gather information, figure out how I can get better, right? Because it's not always just in the other person. And then you're going to move to a phase of unconscious competent where you know what you are doing. So what I'm hoping with this is that you learn to first understand where you might need some help in certain areas of your life, but also understand that you've been successful in other areas. So you know that you can do it. It's just this area is different. You don't have the playbook yet. Go out there, start to find the playbook that's going to work for you. That simply means it's a formula that's been developed by someone that you trust, right? Something you feel is knowledgeable, that's worked for other people, and you're going to begin to work that plan. You're going to start to create that conscious competence, which is eventually going to lead to an unconscious competence that allows you to just go about your everyday doing exactly what you should be doing to get the results that you'd always hope for. So hopefully today's show has been helpful. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. Please do feel free to leave a comment below if it was helpful. And of course, do feel free to share the show with anyone you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my health results accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stevencabral.com/courses.